it must have sucked somebody's a baby, isn't it? I just went directly past you and went straight to...
Well, it's fairly large and striking, so it's a bit hard to go past, isn't it?
She is just gorgeous. Just describe her for people who are
She's
listening.
about 2.5 metres long and nearly 5 kilos. So it's a female, a black-headed python, and we call her asp, the scientific name being Aspidites. So we just do that because a lot of kids can relate to that. And quite a unique animal, found in the northern part of Australia, in West Australia particularly as well. And their black head is one of their unique things. They can actually hide their whole body, inside a burrow or under leaf litter and just put their head out and warm their whole body by it. So
she's absolutely gorgeous. I was giving her a bit of a cuddle earlier on while the track was on, and she's
and I
very
guess most
friendly.
people probably like them because these guys actually eat other snakes, including venomous. So some people seem to think that's all right.
Oh, no. And I imagine that people, because she's got a black head, people might mistake her for a poison. I don't know why you would associate a black head with a poisonous snake, but...
She certainly doesn't have that sort of neck that a python has, so a lot of people get confused. And these guys have got a lot of front. They sort of often rear up, but most of it's just front, and they're pretty easy to handle, as you can see. So
she's absolutely beautiful. She even put a little tongue on my skin while I was holding her. It just feels so gorgeous. She's beautiful. Now, how did you get to be? You worked in the Navy for 21 years. How did you get from the Navy to wildlife officer?
I guess I was at that point, spent that 20-odd years in the Navy, and I was looking for some new direction. Lived in Perth all my life and family here, and I guess there was the option of going further Navy but having to leave Western Australia, and I wasn't really keen on doing that with young kids. So I applied for a position as the senior investigator, and I guess I was extremely lucky to have that opportunity. So I had some skills in investigating and computer and analytical, and I was lucky to get the position, and it's been rather life-changing. So,
in what way? Tell us in what way.
Well, I'm holding a 2.5 metre black-headed python. I never held one before when I was in the Navy. Never had, I guess, any desire. But once you learn about these critters, whether it's a black-headed python, a whale, or a black cockatoo, once you get to know them, they're really wonderful. And it's been a big change in direction, and something I've really enjoyed the last 15 years. So.
It's glorious. Now you describe it as a passion, but your family says it's an obsession. And we have met you before, and your work with the black cockatoo. This is your particular area of interest.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's one of them things that I guess probably most things I do I normally run off at 100 mile an hour. So I've really embraced that, and something that I saw as a bit of a shortcoming, I guess, in our department. Not a lot known about them, and it's been a great opportunity for me to really get to know them.
Yeah.
So, and they're iconic. They're only found in WA, and they've got that rat bag nature about them, which I really enjoy. So it's been awesome.
And you were you the sort of kid that was always out in Aspers just tangling herself up in the headphones? As we Were you the sort of kid that was always tramping around and looking at?
I've always been an outdoor person and always getting myself in a little bit of trouble, but not that wildlife.
Where did you grow up?
I was in Cloverdale, so not far from here. So family near the airport, but I was always down, I guess, collecting tadpoles and doing bits and pieces. But then I joined the Navy at very young, 15 and a half, so that sort of whisked me away from that sort of environment. And now that I've got back to it, it's just fantastic. I've really embraced it. I mean, my knowledge of wildlife in the last 15 years is just huge,
And we have incredible wildlife in Western
fantastic.
Australia.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to go out in the bush,
But you have to, I guess it's not always a pleasure because a lot of your work is dealing with people who aren't doing the right thing.
Absolutely. And I guess sometimes that's actually the good part as well, because you maybe can make some difference and stop people doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So, something I take fairly seriously and work pretty hard at trying to do. So
now people smuggle all sorts of things out of Western Australia, or they try.
There was a bit of a quote in one of the journals in America saying that endangered species are the new blood diamonds. So,
wow.
Aspidites here, old asp, could be worth, between 10 and 15,000 US overseas. So,
well, I was reading just some of the notes that you sent through to us saying that a blue-tongued lizard was worth $3,500. Rottnest Island worth $10,000.
Yeah, again, because it's an endangered species. If you go on some of the websites in Japan and see them, people in Japan, there's probably the biggest seizures we've had has been from people from Japan who take them, and I guess they're high density living and the opportunity to have something unique
Small.
like that. And the old blue-tongued bobtail settle down really nicely in captivity, and they're worth good money overseas. So when we caught one guy with 65 of them, you times that by $3,500. That's a bit of money.
It's pretty hard to kind of subtly whisk out of the country.
No, in fact, I guess that gentleman particularly, Mr. Michael Linley, that he was done. It happened to a couple of young kids who were driving down the road with their mum, and they saw this guy stopping on the side of the road. And as they drove past, they seen him pick up the bobtail and put it in a bag. And they rang our office, and as a result of it, we apprehended him at the airport with 217 reptiles. So
unbelievable.
The biggest seizure we've had.
And was he to sell them? He was a British film producer. Was
Well, he stated in court that it was for his filming, for his
Right.
Work that he was doing. But I mean, he had a wide range of animals. So
Does it make you really cross?
it makes me cross when you see the way some people treat them and the lengths they go to. We've had 24 oblong turtles that were stuffed in socks so tight that they had all neck damage and feet damage. 11 of them died as a result of that, and that sort of stuff, is a bit intolerable. So it can be quite sad. So
Is it getting any better?
it seems to go up and down depending on the species. So, when there's not too many, you only have to go on the website now to see how many Australian reptiles are overseas. I mean, America's probably one of the best breeders of Australian reptiles around, which is amazing. They're all through Europe and whatever. So it seems to go up and down. Years ago it was about birds, but now they seem to have conquered that, and now they're moving into reptiles and varying types of reptiles. So, Australia has unique reptiles, West Australia's got 550 of 800 of our reptiles in Australia, so it's a great place to come and take them, So
Well, you're on the job though, Rick.
we
So
try to be.
They're up against it.
We try to be.
Well, it's great talking to you. I hope that nothing interesting happens to you this year, so we can spend lots of time talking about what you've done in your past, because
Yeah.
it's just a fascinating story.
Sure.
Thanks for joining.